Yes, it is time. Good morning, all. It is time. I'm going to call our September 12th council meeting to order. If you would, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First item on our agenda is our auditor's financial report. Jennifer.
Started the year with a beginning net balance in the general fund of $4,703,547. You've granted additional appropriations in the amount of $552,504 and have requests before you today of $20,000. Take out miscellaneous expenditures to date of $14,251, and that leaves you with $4,136,792 available for appropriation. As far as the revenue report, I didn't have much to add here. Still seeing the numbers coming in higher than where we expected to be, and I believe we addressed most of those with the 24 budget, those that could be increased and those that were one time. So I didn't have any notes there. Only notes I made on the fund balance report. We did see August receipts increase on the jury pay fund, Fund 2584. We had estimated $3,700 per month for 2024, and since this is the first time we're seeing the increase in those fees come in, just wanted to point out that that's going to be pretty accurate, I think. And then on the self-insurance fund, for a couple of months now, we have seen some increases of disbursements over revenue for a couple of months, so that balance usually hovers around the 9.8, 10 million mark, kind of down to around 9.2 right now. So that was all I had.
Okay, any questions for Jennifer? Hearing none, we'll go on to our treasurer's report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Account balance for August is $173,123,159.69, with an interest of $609,593.76. Our average interest rate was 5.59% for the month of August, and we've exceeded our interest goal for the year. So we're just going to keep growing from here.
Okay, any questions? Thank you very much. Is there anyone that would like to make public comment concerning any of our agenda items before us this morning? If not, we'll move on into our approvals of all of the resolutions and ordinances related to the budget. So first one is Resolution 2309CL.
I'll make a motion we approve Resolution 2023-09-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam to approve Resolution 2023-09CL, setting the salary for the county surveyor. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Resolution 10-CL.
Make a motion we approve Resolution number 2023-10-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam to approve the Resolution 2023-10-CL, setting the salary for the county coroner. Discussion.
Doug, do you want to go into kind of the details with this one, because it's a little different?
Yeah, there was legislation that affects this section, but for us, it's actually remains the same. So right now, you've got a requirement that you set the salary at 50% more for a physician when you're dealing with a coroner. Eventually, that's going to phase out, starting with, right now it starts with coroners elected after 2022, I think. And as it works through and everybody goes through an election cycle for their coroners, it's just going to fall under the normal salary statute for elected officials and other people, so you won't have to have this special resolution. But it doesn't affect us because our most recent coroner election was 2020, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Resolution 11-CL.
Make a motion, we approve resolution number 2023-11-CL.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilman Basham, to approve Resolution 2023-11-CL, fixing the assessor salary. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Resolution 12-CL.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-12-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve Resolution 2023-12-CL for the intellectual disability appropriation. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Resolution 13-CL.
Want to make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-13-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve Resolution 2023-13-CL for the mental health appropriation. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Resolution 14-CL.
Want to make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-14-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve Resolution 2023-14-CL to establish and confirm our minimum fund balances. Discussion. Hearing none. Do you want to review those just a little bit, Jennifer, before since we did have some changes in the movement?
Sure. I added this resolution to the budget documents because we discussed setting a new target minimum for the general fund of 11 million, and that's up from 7.5 million. I did add the lit public safety fund for 1.5 million for cash flow purposes, and then also the statewide 911 for 350,000. I'm sorry, the public safety was contingency in case of revenue shortfalls with lit. The 911 was a cash flow purpose or determination. So those are the only two added, and it just confirms the rest of the minimum targets that you've set in the past.
So we don't have to put in the rainy day. Minimum.
You do have minimum target of 7 million for rainy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are just targets, right? I mean, there's nothing, no repercussions if we don't hit them other than,
Correct.
Right. Just
Okay.
best practices.
yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have our ordinances, 17-CL.
Want to make a motion, we approve ordinance number 2023-17-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve ordinance 2023-17-CL, our salary ordinance on second reading. That will be by roll call.
Underwood,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Basham,
Aye.
Dolam,
Aye.
Murray,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and Vernon.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 2023-17-CL passes 7-0 on second and final reading.
Next, we have ordinance 18-CL.
I'm going to make a motion, we approve ordinance number 2023-18-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve ordinance 2023-18-CL for the Tippecanoe County budgets on second reading. Roll call.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Basham,
Aye.
Dolem,
Aye.
Murray,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Vernon,
Aye.
Underwood.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 2023-18-CL passes 7-0 on second and final reading.
Okay, next we have ordinance 19-CL.
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 2023-19-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve ordinance 2023-19-CL for the solid waste district budget on second reading. Any discussion? Roll call.
Basham, Dolem,
Aye.
Murray,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Vernon,
Aye.
Underwood,
Aye.
Hamilton.
Aye.
Ordinance 2023-19-CL passes 7-0 on second and final reading.
And then we have ordinance 20-CL.
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 2023-20-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve ordinance 2023-20-CL, the Little Weehawk Conservancy budget on second reading. Discussion? Roll call.
Dolem,
Aye.
Murray,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Vernon,
Aye.
Underwood,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Basham.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 2023-20-CL passes 7-0 on second and final reading.
And then the last one, 21-CL.
Make a motion, we approve ordinance number 2023-21-CL.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve ordinance 2023-21-CL, the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund on second reading. Any discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and roll call.
Murray,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Vernon,
Aye.
Underwood,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Basham,
Aye.
Dolem.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 2023-21-CL passes 7-0 on second and final reading.
Okay. Thank you all for all of your work through the entire process. Next, we have our consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that need to be removed for further consideration? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda that also includes our minutes from our August 8th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Dolam to approve the consent agenda as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that is approved. Next, we have our additional appropriations, starting with Prosecutor Fund 8897.
Make a motion to approve the appropriation to the Prosecutors Fund, 8897 for $50,000.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Dolam, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton, to approve the 4D Incentive Fund 8897 appropriation in the amount of $50,000. Discussion. Welcome, Pat. Morning.
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah.
This is, we've been working with Commissioner Brown and Tony and Parker, the lady from the scientists. Many of you recall when we built out 111 North Court, the second floor, we left basically an open room where our child support works. Now, given the growth of our office and need for more individual office space, we're going to basically redesign that floor. So money all comes from the child support fund. Child support in Indianapolis to approve this cost as directly linked to the child support. So we're just moving forward. We appreciate Commissioner Brown and Tony's help, and it's just really moving a couple walls and some sprinklers, I think. Well, nothing's that simple, right? But
Okay. Any questions or discussion from council? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Fund 2560 appropriation.
I move that we approve the user fee pretrial diversion fund 2560 appropriation for $11,000.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Dolam, second from Councilwoman Hamilton, to approve the pretrial diversion fund 2560 appropriation in the amount of $11,000. Discussion.
Thank you. This is our annual fee for Caliber. That's a software system used by all local law enforcement. It's a record management system for records, documents, body cam. We have paid that one for Caliber. Lafayette Police has Axum. That's a different fee, but this is the yearly fee that's come due.
Okay. Questions or discussion from council? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have for the surveyor, Fund 1112.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the EDIT Fund 1112 in the amount of $200,000.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Richard, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton, to approve the EDIT Fund 1112 appropriation for the surveyor in the amount of $200,000. Discussion.
Good morning. If you remember, this is a follow-through from discussions held during budget hearings. So this $200,000 was part of the overall $850, I believe we discussed during budget hearings, $650 for next year, calendar year of 2024, and this $200,000 is needed to get us through the end of this calendar year. So happy to answer any other questions, but we're just following through.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion from council? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Fund 1122, appropriation for community corrections.
Make a motion, we approve Community Corrections Fund 1122 in the amount of $112,000.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton, to approve the Fund 1122 appropriation for community corrections in the amount of $112,000. Discussion.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's just an appropriation of user fees for just some expenses for the remainder of the year.
Okay. Any questions about any details from council or discussion?
Maybe my hearing's wrong. I thought you said 112,000.
That's the total.
There's three different sheets,
There's
John.
three
When you
different
add them
sheets,
together-
John. Yeah, the total is
I thought it was
112.
gonna do it separate.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to do it separate.
Oh, no. They're all one fund, so I just threw them all together. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Fund 4124, grant appropriation.
Make a motion, we approve Community Corrections Donations Fund 4124 grant appropriation in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton, to approve the Community Corrections Donation Fund 4124 grant appropriation for $5,000. Discussion.
We were graciously awarded a $5,000 transportation and incentives grant from the United Way, and this is that donation for that.
Okay. Any discussion from council?
Jason, out of curiosity, you said funding for transportation facilities, is that like city bus passes and
Yes.
things like that? Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Fund 8332 appropriation.
Make a motion, we approve the Contingency Management Implementation Fund 8332 grant appropriation in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton, to approve the Contingency Management Implementation Fund 8332 appropriation in the amount of $50,000. Discussion.
So again, we were fortunate to receive a $50,000 grant from IU Health and in a collaboration with the Contingency Management Implementation grant that we were awarded. This is funding for that grant that we received.
Okay. Any questions?
Can you give just some examples, basic
Yeah, so
examples of
it
things
goes
that they would
through,
use it for?
contingency management is basically based around do something right, get rewarded for it, do something right, get rewarded for it. And so this is a series of gift cards that an individual can receive. It's specifically meant for our education classes, drug screening, and things like that. So if we see somebody that's struggling, especially in the world of drug screens, we get them counseling, we get them some help, and we get them put on the right track. Pass the drug screen, here's a $25 gift card. Pass another drug screen, here's another $25 gift card. So it kind of really just goes back to do something well and get rewarded for it, with the idea of getting that person kind of trained up, and it's okay to do the right thing.
Gift cards to like restaurants or things like that?
Yeah, it's a variety of it. And we
Okay.
don't hold them. It's all done electronically. We don't have like a big drawer full of $50,000 worth of gift cards or anything like that. So it's all done electronically. Everything's audited and monitored. We've been working closely with Jennifer and Yadira to make sure that things are well accounted for and that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from council? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have appropriation for Fund 1169 for Highway.
Mr. President, I move that Fund 1169 that need $150,000 to replace 3 foreman trucks.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Basham, a second from Councilman Richard, to approve the appropriation for Fund 1169, Local Road and Street, in the amount of $150,000. Discussion.
Last year, in keeping with our fleet maintenance, we ordered 4 of the foreman pickup trucks. We were refused because of chip shortages. They gave us 1. Lafayette didn't get any of their order. But then they turned around and said, hey, we got them. And they showed up this year, 3 new trucks. So now we have to appropriate out of this year's budget to pay those trucks that we were to buy last year.
Okay. Any questions or discussion from council? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Fund 1173 appropriation.
Mr. President, I move that Fund 1173 that we approve the street materials and expenditures. Amount of $400,000.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Basham, a second from Councilman Richard, to approve the MVH Restricted Fund 1173 appropriation in the amount of $400,000. Discussion.
Yep, this is, we've been fairly aggressive this year in our paving program, so we're just drawing out of our cash reserves. We've been doing more paving than chip seal this year, which of course costs more.
Okay. Any questions or discussion from council? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have an additional appropriation for Health Department.
Make a motion we approve out of general fund appropriation $20,000.
Second?
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton, to approve the general fund appropriation for operating supplies, institutional or medical, in the amount of $20,000 for the Health Department. Discussion.
I would just say, these are for vaccines that they're giving for students to get back in school. They gave well over almost 100 last night, and these kids are getting 3 to 4 vaccines each visit. They actually are ordering more, so they'll come back again here next month to ask for more money for these vaccines that the kids are just behind on. Schools are enforcing it, and so as a result, kids are being excluded from school unless they have a scheduled appointment for a vaccine. So that's where we're at, kind of catch up with that aspect of it.
And is that because we feel the students weren't getting them during the pandemic, or is this something new? Well, how is this different than 2020 or 2019?
Schools weren't enforcing the requirements of immunizations due to
Okay.
that aspect of it. And so
Okay.
a lot of it is catch up,
Okay.
meningitis, Tdap, and some others along those lines.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none.
Did I
all-
misspeak, Greg?
No, thank you, Councilman Murray. That's exactly correct, and thank you for the question, Councilperson. I think that, as I've said before, this is really not vaccine denial. It's kind of vaccine apathy, as I call it. Kind of people haven't decided really, well, we'll get the vaccine or not, where we saw that, Lafayette School Corporation instituted it last week, and now we have a tsunami of people coming for vaccines. And might I remind you all that Tippecanoe County is at 81% for polio, and for measles, and the state is about at 88%, so we're significantly below that, which is compromising our herd immunity with this. So I'm very glad that that Les has gone ahead and made that mandatory.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Fund 9178 appropriation.
Make a motion to approve Gateway to Hope Counseling Fund 9178 grant appropriation in the amount of $9,472.
Second?
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton to approve the Gateway to Hope Counseling Fund 9178 appropriation in the amount of $9,472. Discussion.
I have nothing.
Any
pretty-
questions from council or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next, we have Fund 8482 appropriation.
Make a motion, we approve the HIV Prevention Health Program Fund 8482 grant appropriation in the amount of $35,229.
Second?
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Murray, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton to approve the HIV Prevention Health Program Fund 8482 appropriation in the amount of $35,229. Discussion. Anything you want to especially note?
I just a
Or-
quick question.
or question.
In regards to, I brought up the fact about vehicles in our budget hearings, and I see this is for a vehicle, so I just want to make sure that this was vetted through the commissioners and they have approved your vehicle.
Yes, I believe that meeting was in April,
Okay.
the second commissioners meeting where it was approved.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or
It's for a
discussion?
2022 Pacifica van, I believe, that we used. I'm going to ask Dr. Loomis about the need for it, and the health department is growing, and the vehicles, the 3 vehicles that they have that we purchased recently are used all the time, and so this would help fulfill the needs of the public health initiatives that they're using.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Murray. That's correct. We're growing by leaps and bounds in the health department, particularly the syringe service program. We now have 2 full-time employees. We're hiring under the previous grant that you guys just approved, a peer counselor and outreach person. We have 4 contracted employees. I have a representative from Mental Health America, from NAMI, and from Valley Oaks who are present. They each take turns during the course of the week, so I have trained professionals that are there this time that actually can reach out and speak with these people. I don't speak that language. They do, and they do a darn good job at it. We have, in 4.5 months since the relocation, we have 18 people in recovery. The sad part is that our overdose numbers are going up again this year. We're never going to get ahead of this, but we need to be close behind, particularly with education and service availability. This vehicle will help us do the outreach to this program. We've also started a medical outreach team where I'm actually participating in that along with our nursing staff that are going out into the community under the bridges to find people to try to administer care the best we can to them. So this vehicle will really help with transportation, so I appreciate your support.
Okay.
And this will be Councilperson Byrne, you asked a question last year about whether this would be a take-home vehicle. This is not a take-home vehicle, and it'll always be at the health department stationed there in the evening, regardless of whoever needs it for the SSP or the STI program will come to work and take the vehicle, so it will be at the health department.
And am I correct that transportation is a part of the grant itself, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the grant covers fuel, maintenance, insurance, everything.
Insurance, everything, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion, council? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have committee reports. Any of those? It's probably been a little slim in that regard because of budget hearings. Any unfinished business that we need to attend to? Any new business? Not. Commissioner FYI. Commissioner Byers.
Well, if you haven't recognized, we have a entrance is kind of closed, whatever, but we did to do something nice. We had some water flowing through Zach's office, which was kind of soothing for him and everything else, so we're proud of him for
Well,
that.
he is the surveyor. He works with water.
Yeah, you know, so. A lot of people like a little waterfall coming down their place or whatever. Anyway, it's supposed to be done by next week. They found out that it's a lot thicker cement than what it's supposed to be, but anyway, hopefully the entrance is done by next week. If any of you are interested in tours out at the animal shelter, Tom's setting up some tours. It's coming along really good on Thursday, so if you want to holler at Tom and do a walkthrough and see what the animal shelters look like, go ahead. Stu did not brag about his drivers out there at the Snow Olympics. We had the Snow Olympics out at the fairgrounds. 67 different counties were represented by their highway departments, and our team finished fourth. So it was pretty interesting, and they were so impressed and pleased with the place, they've already booked it for the next 4 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
we got to be
Nice.
really happy with that, and you got to basically say, that was $30-some thousand we got paid to rent the facility, and it's already booked. So things are working out there. And last but not least, the Relay for Life is the 23rd out at the fairgrounds. They have raffle tickets. If anybody would like to get a raffle ticket, it's $5. You can win a nice fancy grill, a pop-up, a cooler, this, that, and everything else for $5. So, but if you don't want to buy, that's fine, because I've already bought my tickets, and I'm planning on winning it. So, thank you all.
Okay. Thank you. Any public comment to come before us this morning?
Mr. President, I don't see anybody public comment. I didn't know whether to interject this, make everybody aware of what I found here under new business or unfinished business, but Governor Holcomb, maybe some of you know, I would like for the sheriff to maybe speak to this issue, if he could, or what he's found out in communication, that Governor Holcomb announced that 474 schools were approved for $29.8 million for funding for investing in the resource officers to boost school safety. What this bulk of that money is dedicated in putting more school resource officers in the schools. More than $19 million of this school safety grant will be invested in hiring more of the resource officers. And this came out September the 1st. So,
I have not heard anything. I've been down south giving money to the big mouse, but I haven't heard anything, which makes sense why my phone rang this morning from a number I didn't recognize. It was saying they wanted me to call them about this, but so I don't know if we've been awarded anything or not. But I know if we are, that we will find a way to put more people in the schools. I've already had somebody that's retired reach out and said if this happens, that they would like to come back and be an SRO. So they would freeze their retirement, come back as a merit deputy and be an SRO. So I think it's very important. Again, I know we don't want to make our schools prisons to where the kids are locked up and walking through all this stuff, but we utilize the SROs, I've said it a million times, to build relationships with the kids, and that's what they're doing. But we're not naive enough to think we don't have problems in the schools, because we do. But having more of those resource officers in our schools will help with safety and security and building relationships, just an overall better community.
Okay.
Thanks, Sheriff. You touched on the one thing about not making it a prison. Some people really got to get into it and dig a little bit. These resource officers are friends. They're buddies with these students, and they kind of lend that way. They're just not somebody standing over in a corner like a warrant, like an officer. So again, I promote that, and hopefully we can find some more money for these schools. I don't know about the private schools, like Central Catholic. I don't know how they're going to handle it.
Yeah, I don't either.
But,
I do know, Bill, know what you're saying,
but
John, is it is different when an officer goes from the street or wherever they are to an SRO position. They're used to that, being a cop.
Right.
And then they have to turn into basically a real person
right.
with a uniform on. So there is some growing pains with it, because when we sit down and we discuss it, they're kind of shocked of what's expected of them, because they want to be friends and do the programs that we ask them to do, but it's a totally different task. And then after about 2 months of it, they say, I didn't realize it was this time-consuming
Right.
and how involved it is. Because even I, when you're on the street, driving around, taking calls, pulling people over and doing all that, you think, well, the SROs don't do anything. Then you get in a position where you oversee them, and you know exactly what they're doing, and they're doing safety assessments at all the schools. They're taking calls after hours that a lot of people don't take, and that's totally different for somebody that's used to going home at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., whatever, or 6, and just they can shut everything off. So it takes a special person. We have them, and those people are out there, but hopefully we're able to get some of the funding.
I went to that meeting, I believe you were there, Sheriff, at McCutcheon High School, where the resource officer spoke, and I didn't see anybody else there, but it was quite learned. And the camaraderie that these resource officers develop with these students can really pay a lot of dividends. There's a lot of bonding that goes on.
Oh, there is. I mean, and
There's
Barry, you were a
bonding.
DARE officer for years. You know how that is.
18 years.
Yeah, you become their friend. You know their families and everything else. You end up knowing everything about them.
Kind of quelches everything.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. So it's coming. Again, 474 schools have been approved for almost $30 million by Governor Holcomb. So they know about it, naturally. Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Anything else? Our next meeting is October 10th. We've got a lot of things to sign, so don't escape right away. But I will take that last motion.
So moved.
Second.
We are